it's a life. Wildlife officer is a life. And no, I'm serious.
It is.
And your family becomes part of the big TWRA family. And that's what's been so neat for me.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We're glad you're with us. Today we're in Region 3 once again in Crossville, and Miss Mimi Barnes is helping me lead the way here. Thanks for being here, Mimi. Thanks for having us.
Always fun. Always enjoy it. What a fun day to be with my coworkers and talk about what we love.
All about law enforcement today.
It is.
We've got some that are on their way out, been here a while, and some that are got a few more years left under his belt. So it's going to be a fun conversation.
It will
all
be.
About the law enforcement officer today. And I think folks have questions about that a lot of times. How do I become an officer? What does the officer do? You know, and a lot of folks love to meet their officer and see them in the county. So it's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, for me today, it's about how much change has happened in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the time goes fast that we all work for the agency. It really does go fast. Bill Moulton here can attest to that, and Shawn Edgmon from Sequatchie County. Different parts of the region, very different counties. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to open with a story.
Can I do one thing first?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to hold that?
Proper time.
Oh, cover up that button. You're good now. Okay.
But I want to talk about the exuberance of our officers and what it's like working with them and meeting up with them. And it starts in Sequatchie County with Shawn. I went down for a dove hunt that he puts on in his county, and very touching. You know, I got out of the truck. I was very new with the agency, and for anybody watching, they can see my height challenge with them. I'm not a short person. I just work with a bunch of really tall people.
We're all standing on boxes today.
And they were so exuberant in their hellos. And Shawn grabbed my hand like I was one of the guys and shook my hand very heartedly. And that was great. But it was the slap on the back that knocked the wind out of me. He literally knocked the wind out of me. Couldn't breathe in, couldn't breathe out. But I was very happy to just be one of the TWRA folks joining in for the hunt.
Or one of the team.
It was fun.
So
sorry, Shawn. That's a great memory for me. It was right in my early days with the agency, and what a strong welcome.
Hey, we all love you and appreciate what you do, and you're just part of one of the guys.
I am. I love that dove hunt. That was a great day.
Mimi's great.
So, and I can't forget about Bill Moulton up in Clay County too. Bill and trapping and his information education outreach programs that he has done through the years, and we'll get into his partner a little bit more. Been happy to be involved with all of them.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Well, who do you want to start with today, Mimi? I'm going to let you pick. We want to learn about them, the number of years, and what got them into this and that kind of thing. So who you think should be at first?
Let's start on the end with Shawn. You know, Shawn, tell us about yourself, the number of years you've been with the agency, your education, how you got to Sequatchie County, what path you took to get there.
Well, like she said, my name's Shawn Edgmon. I'm the officer in Sequatchie County, and my father was a officer and started in '65, and I kind of wanted to be like him, you know. So I guess he created the mold for me. And
everybody wants to be like Dad.
Yeah,
right?
you want to be like Dad. You want to be that person from a small town where, you know, everybody knows him. So I kind of wanted to do that. So that's kind of career choice I took, was being a wildlife officer. I graduated in 1994 from Sequatchie County High School, and then went on to Tennessee Tech. Took a year off in Tennessee Tech in '96 and paid my way through the police academy and became a part-time boating officer for the state. So actually I started working for the state in '96 as a boating officer. Graduated from Tennessee Tech with a wildlife fisheries degree in '99 and got hired on July 1st of 2000. And I got hired on in Coffee County under Jim Vaughn. Stayed there 2 years and then moved back when my father, when he retired in 2000. And luckily nobody wanted Sequatchie County, so I was able to put in for it and was able to transfer back to Sequatchie, where my wife, we were both born and raised there in Dunlap, and so that's where I am now and love it.
Good to get back home. And so it's been in Edgmon County.
That's right. 30. I think I added it up. It's like almost 60 years of an Edgmon in Sequatchie County.
That's amazing.
Right.
I love that story. I love it.
A lot of officers follow in their father's footsteps, or mother, but it's amazing. They want to grow up and do the same thing. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. And they go to the same county a lot of times.
Yeah, very cool.
Bill?
Well, I was going to stick in there that, he said, it's been a long time there's been an Edgmon there, but the neat part about it, it's never been negative. It's always been positive. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is. Appreciate it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But no, I came on, in 1989.
Been that long, huh?
Yes, it has. Hey, that's one of the reasons I'm out. But
Shawn throwing out those numbers, I started counting my own gray hairs.
But no, I came on back in 1989 in Clay County, which is where I've stayed the entire time.
Wow, pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's been an awesome ride. But that's where I actually was able to meet my blushing bride and grow a family and become part of the community and experience some incredible stuff over the 31 years. It's just been a really great time.
So we sent you a list of questions, but I do want to skip around. What do you like about Clay County? What do you like about it?
Well, unlike some of the officers, of course, places are growing. Mine is still a rural county where there's still a lot of that feeling of community. And after the first few years, people finally started to kind of accept me and the agency as a whole. It's just, it's not like you see portrayed in the news where law enforcement is always accepted and things like that. Just don't have to worry about it up there. They love TWRA. They accept me as an officer and my family, and no questions.
Yeah, I always one thing about our wildlife officers is they're so embedded in their counties. People know your names. They have your house number a lot of times, and I know that's changed, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But Shawn, your story is absolutely amazing. I wonder, when your dad was with the agency, Bill, when you started, we weren't carrying around cell phones at that time. And I wondered, when you were a little boy, did you answer the phone for your dad and take messages and call dispatch?
That's what you do.
Right. I guess that's kind of one of the reasons I was used to it growing up, answering those midnight phone calls or somebody pulling up in the driveway and getting my dad out and talking to him, asking him questions, bringing deer by, bringing turkeys by. But, I guess I was used to it from all the years of, working the weekends. I knew he worked the weekends a lot, worked the holidays, so I was kind of prepared for that when I got hired on.
And it sounds, I think we already know the answer, but what do you love about that county? I know it's home.
It's rural. It's a small county, which I love. My wife always gets mad if I go to Walmart with her because everybody's talking. She can't get her grocery shopping done.
Oh, that's funny.
And my dad was the same way. I could remember, he never met a stranger, and going into, which we didn't have a Walmart back then, but we do now. And just talking to people, and like I said, my wife gets on to me when we go out and eat because she can't. People's always coming over to ask you questions, but that's what I love about it. I love everybody knows you and, call me by my first name. I might not know them, but they know me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Quantico this summer, and people standing next to me struck up a conversation, and it was someone from Shawn's County that knew him, of course.
Wow.
Small world.
What was that song in Disney? Small World?
But far and wide. So, Shawn, we'll come back to you with that because it is fascinating. But I want to expand a little bit on your role, Bill, because it's slightly different with the agency. A lot of times when you're in the truck, you're not by yourself.
No, I was blessed to have a canine partner. In 2004, the commission, Wildlife Commission, and our then director, Gary Myers, said, hey, thumbs up, let's start a canine program. They initially started with 2 dogs. Ken Kutzinger and Amy Snyder went to Kentucky, trained with them, went through their 10-week program, which is what we all go through, and trained up 2 dogs. That was in 2005, and the next year they added several more. Matter of fact, our major from this region, C.J. Janes, had a dog. They added Scott Mansfield, Dennis Ward, David Crane, and Stacy Stevenson. Those dogs normally will go 9 to 10 years, and in 2011 is when I was blessed to be able to come on with the canine program and got my partner Chip, who was donated to us actually from one of our own, Donald Hossey. He's a yellow lab.
He's quite the internet sensation at times.
Yeah, he's been on a few social posts here lately.
Let me tell you, you know what's so neat about it is you can go anywhere. And no matter how somebody may feel about the game warden or law enforcement, they and their youngsters and the folks with them will always say, can I pet him? You know, what's his name?
He's pretty friendly.
Oh, yeah. He might lick you to death, but he's constantly smiling and moving. He's a bundle of energy, and he'll be 11, though, this April. So
and he'll retire with you.
He's retiring with me, but I don't know if I can keep up with him even when we retire, because like I said, he never wants to stop. But it's been interesting. You know, we trained in wildlife detection, firearms detection, and tracking, and then twice a year we recertify with these dogs, just for the court, make sure that we're up to date and no questions will arise in court, and keep the dogs on top of it. But
so I'm sure, like you in the county, Chip is well known.
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's one of the most memorable moments with Chip? What's one of the finds or searches or something that stands out?
That would be his first case. We used to work ginseng, illegal ginseng diggers, pretty regular, and we had an old timer that, I say old timer, he's a young guy, but he constantly was in our radar. Got a call, and they had found his vehicle. Took Chip out, and the other officers secured the area, and we put Chip on the track off of the door. He made it over the hill. And of course, I didn't say earlier that our dogs are all sporting dogs, labs and that type of dogs. So they're not what a lot of people associate police canines. They're not bite dogs.
Right.
But Chip started the track, and we went over the hill, and thankfully the guys ended up coming up the same track, but I could see them up in the woods down below us. So I let Chip keep going, and the guys looked up and saw us and started to run. I said, don't make me turn the dog loose. So they stopped where they were. We went down, and I said, now guys, I'm going to put him on a sit-stay watch. If you move after I say watch, I don't know what's going to happen, but the dog does have teeth. That's all I said. And the guys were definitely standing there pretty still, and one of them, I guess that's where he had his screwdriver back here that they dig this ginseng with. He started to move to pull it out. Well, like I said, Chip's a bundle of energy, so most times you have to say stay more than once. Well, he happened to come up at about the same time the guy moved, and I said, whoa, Chip, friend. And I said, man, you don't need to move again. So that was probably the most memorable thing.
Wow, that's fun.
I'm sure there are a lot of them.
Well,
and he is a cute dog.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He's a cutie.
He's ready.
And Shawn, I know you're very familiar with dogs. You're very familiar with dogs, too. You're an avid hunter. You're out there, and you utilize and breed, right?
Yes.
Labs.
I've got a lab. I love labs. I wanted to do it when Bill did it a few years ago, but I had some personal problems come up and just wasn't able to put the time in. But I love dogs. I mean, labs are my favorite.
Yes. I was going to say, even though you might not have one on the job, there's one usually at your site.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, I love that, and have had the pleasure of meeting, I think it was Belle?
Belle.
Yeah. Yeah, good
She's
dog.
almost 7 now.
Do you use them to hunt with, I guess?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We hunt and go out west and bird hunt in Arkansas and do it all. And during dove season, my daughters like to take her with them when they dove hunt.
Awesome.
I should also say both these men have daughters, and I always think what a gift for a little girl to grow up in the outdoors and to be empowered with all those skill sets. And I speak that personally, but I know that, and I think it's great that you all have girls that are active and enjoy, and you've taught them a lot. Very cool. So I want to go back to, you know, you hate pointing out age, but you've been with us for a while, Bill.
I'm just glad to be here.
But you've seen all those changes, and Shawn, you watched your dad's career and then your own career. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like, Shawn, you know, watching your dad in that career and what changes, what all these crazy changes that have taken place. And Bill, I'll have you chime in whenever you feel comfortable.
You know, there's been a lot of changes since I started, and Bill as well. But, you know, I can remember walking the riverbanks with a ticket book in my back pocket, you know, checking people, checking licenses and stuff like that. And, you know, to now, technology. You know, I've got a MacBook computer in my truck with a printer, you know, and I'm, you know, a second away from getting everything or every person that we check, get all their criminal history and everything like that. So technology has changed so much since my dad was an officer, and then when I took over. But it's unbelievable, from not having a cell phone, you know, to a computer in your truck and with a printer, and just print the citations off right there.
Wow.
Or be able to access the information on the person, which nowadays, you know, unfortunately, we see it in the news, not just for wildlife officers, but all law enforcement officers. There's so many more encounters with folks that just have issues and don't want to conform and whatnot. But going back to some of the changes, I remember when I started, you know, we still got training, but basically you were given your sidearm and belt, a box of ammo, a phone log, because you had to keep track of your long-distance phone calls, maps for the county, binoculars, a 3D cell mag light, your law book, your ticket book, and then you had to have a phone number, because they used to print it in the regulations. And Shawn alluded to the midnight calls, and it could come from Memphis. Somebody saw your phone number in there. But one of the other things I was thinking of when he talked about getting the midnight calls was, back then we would have a portable radio that a lot of times we left it at the house, because we'd be out, and then your wife or girlfriend was called whatever your radio number, W. So my wife was 3102W to 3102. Hey, they're shining over on such and such a road. You need to head that way. And I bet Shawn can remember that.
I do. Ben Franklin, you know, who was in DeKalb County, who's retired, I can remember his wife, you know, getting on the radio and calling him at night, and I could hear the traffic over the radio about them shining next to Center Hill Dam or somewhere like that. But, you know, she's got that distinct voice, and you could hear 3203W, the Ben, you know, they're shining on, you know, at the dam. And it's all right, I'm heading that way.
It's funny.
Well, you know, we've always said it, but our families are so involved in our careers, but not more so than a wildlife officer's family, because you're there embedded in your county. You might be at a ball game with your daughter, Shawn, or and something happens. And back then, you know, they were taking calls through a household. Now you have your cell phone, luckily, but you're still called out. Your family is still directly affected by the work in law enforcement that you do. And so before I forget, I'll say thank you for that. That's a big, it's a big commitment in the state of Tennessee that most people don't realize.
Well, it is definitely, you know, I've heard it a couple of times, a career, and it's a life. Wildlife officer is a life. And no, I'm serious.
It is.
And your family becomes part of the big TWRA family. And that's what's been so neat for me. My family, without question, just embraced it. I'm sure with Shawn, it's the same thing. You know, you said something about going to the store my family finally said, well, my wife finally told the girls, hey, go ahead and eat, when somebody would come up and say, hey, Bill, I need to ask you a question. You know, same thing, right?
It's same thing.
Yep.
It'd be a good time to ask, Shawn, what do you think your dad enjoyed about the job that you enjoy about it today? And Bill, what do you enjoy? What have you?
You know, being a wildlife officer for me and him, you know, it's an interesting and rewarding job. Serving the public, I love to serve the public. Protect the wildlife, help the wildlife. You know, we do a lot of things in my career. My dad established the wild turkey population there in Sequatchie County, and you know, where I live at now, you know, 20 years ago we didn't see a turkey, and then he started bringing turkeys in from Middle Tennessee and stuff like that, and her turkey population just exploded.
Wow.
And you can, you know, I can take you places and see 35, 50, you know, turkeys every day.
That's pretty cool.
Knowing that he started that, you know, that's pretty special. And you know, and also I love to preserve the county, the state, and you know, that's some of the reasons why I love being a wildlife officer.
I would mirror some of his items there. I can remember the girls helping to release turkeys when we'd go and trap them, and gosh, there's so many darn things. But one of the things, you know, Shawn talked about all of the IT stuff that's entered into our job, but over the years, and I'm probably certain it's same with Shawn and the rest of the guys and gals, we have more and more and more and more and more and more outreach and I&E. Gosh, what archery in the schools and trapper ed, hunter ed, the fishing rodeos that we do, going to schools just to do canine demonstrations, and then just you'll have somebody call and say, hey, could you come talk about this or that? You know, just going and talking to people about all the different things. Shawn mentioned it about his dad never met a stranger. You probably haven't either.
That's true.
And I haven't. I mean, it's just, and the really neat part is the families kind of evolved the same way, so that they like meeting people, talking to people, and following through with it. It's just an awesome career.
So, Shawn, I know you'd never bring this up, but I will. They're so embedded in their communities. Shawn knew of some folks in need, took a either poached deer or roadkill deer that was still fresh enough, and took it to this family in need, and saw that they needed an oven, that their stovetop in their oven was out, and he took to social media and said, "Hey, can someone help this family?" And it was a new officer at the time, David Holt, who's no longer new with us, but at the time he was, and grabbed up David and said, let's go help these people, and they did. I mean,
That's great.
They're so embedded in their counties that it's a beautiful thing to see. Been out many times and been waved down because someone wants to tell me how great their officer is.
That was one point I was thinking about as you were talking. An officer is an educator, an enforcer, dog handler, and a community helper. I mean, it's amazing
overwhelmingly
what all's in your satchel or your backpack, and you go into the day, what all you have to do, or whatever, what you might end up doing. You know, so it's amazing.
Yeah, Shawn, I wondered if you dealt with some of the same families that your father dealt with.
You know, most of the families that my dad had dealings with, they've moved on, passed on, and you know, I'm starting to see some of the the generation gaps, you know, before them or after them, you know, take over. But you know, I've not had many dealings with some of the hardcore poachers, I guess, from his days. It's, you know, poaching has changed so much in the last 25 years. It's not like, you know, back when my dad was working, it was just, everybody did it. You know, it was a cool thing to do, and you know,
we're glad that's changed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know, some parts of the county still like that, but as the hunters get more educated, and you know, they're not as, you know, we still have a few, but it's not like it was years ago for me and where I live at. But you know, some parts of the state it still is.
Yeah, and Bill, I know you're embedded in your county, and I think about what your wife and your daughters do for a living, and how integrated you all are as public servants. I know you teach TWRA Ed up there. I just know that you're all so willing to lend a hand when needed. When there's been flooding, you've gone and.
They actually gave us an alert to try and get the logistics worked out for all this water we've had recently. We've still got a couple feet to go, but yeah, a lot of different things on it.
And one more thing about Bill, you're on tell me about the dive team.
The agency has a unified dive team, and what it is it's a law enforcement side, and then there's an environmental services side. And Dave McKinney kind of heads that up. We recently lost a long-timer to retirement, Don Hubbs. Let me think, gosh, there's so many guys on it. We got Bobby Brown and Alan Pyburn that are the trainers that make sure our training is up to date. That you got Mike Murdoch and David Sims, David Crane. There's so many I can't remember all their names right off, but part of what we do is like for the mussel restoration. That was what Don Hubbs and David McKinney and them took a big part in, where we actually go out and collect mussels, and then we've got a group there in Gallatin at the steam plant that raises them and gets them implanted into the gills of different species, and each species of mussel has to go to a particular species of fish.
Yeah, that host fish, that's pretty cool.
Well,
pretty cool reproduction
I never knew
process.
that. I looked at a mussel before I came on. I was like, well, that's a freshwater clam, isn't it? But then on the law enforcement side, we may have to collect evidence for sheriff departments and things like that, or in an unfortunate event, if we have boating accident or something like that, we'll have to try and collect and find evidence.
So real quick, favorite moment or something you'd say for someone that's just starting out in the job?
Be patient. Keep your nose clean. Stay out of trouble, and get to know your local wildlife officer.
Yep.
That's probably some good advice.
Get out and learn to be able to talk to people and understand that not everybody's the same, and that each situation you run into is going to be different, including if you get into a law enforcement career.
Yeah.
Well, we're so grateful for what you both do, and all the officers across the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank y'all for being on. Thanks, Mimi, for setting this up. It's been fun. It's been interesting. Love hearing the stories, and enjoy retirement.
My wife is looking forward to me doing some.
The honey-do list is growing.
Hey, it's all right. I owe her 29 years of that, I can tell you.
All right. Well, guys, thank you. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Tennessee WildCast, and we'll be back next week. We'll see you then.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.